I watched your home tour, your non-toxic home tour. How much time and effort was put into both designing your home and then actually fulfilling it and making it as non-toxic as it could be?
Man, okay, so that video production, like I do everything. Like I edit the videos. My wife has turned into my videographer, and I'm the editor, and so we're in-house everything right now. But it's been a progression over the past 10, 12 years of just turning our home into what it is now. I mean, it started out with nutrition. We met it in college, and nutrition was our first love together. But non-toxic, like that home tour is we're still a progression for us. And when we put it out on social media, the last thing I want is for people to feel overwhelmed, like they have to do all of it or that they're missing out. Where we're at now, it took 12 years, 13 years of my wife and I together. And it's been like one thing a year, just like slowly adding thing. It was the water, then it was the air, then it was the cleaning products. And it's, snowballed into where it's at now.
I think people can so easily watch social media. You have these big people, these big influencers who have the money and the resources and the time and the knowledge to have it dialed in perfectly. And then somebody will watch it and be like, I can't do all of these things. And so I really like you don't push kind of the fear mongering approach. You're like, hey, just make the changes that you can. Where do you recommend people start when it comes to a home?
Yeah, yeah. In regards to the fear mongering thing, like I really appreciate that because there's a fine line there, honestly, because like how do you talk about these dangers? They're very real dangers of the toxins, the environmental toxin exposure, or the ultra processed foods. How do you talk about these things on social media? Because you also need a level of entertainment on social media. So how do you kind of talk about those things without just scaring people? You have to give them a level of education and also come back to earth, like a groundedness to it. But to answer your question, um, everybody's starting place is a little bit different. For us, because we were nutrition majors at Penn State, like that was our starting point, bringing just better foods into our home. And that's where we started. But if there's like one good place to start, I think it's water. I think water, because you're drinking so much water. Hopefully people are drinking good water, but there's so many pollutants in tap water. Anywhere you go, there's just pollutants in it. Dude, so from 2013, 2014 to 2019, I would travel up the mountain here in Pennsylvania. I would travel up the mountain with my dog, and we would just bottle our own spring water from a
Really?
really good spring. We would, man. I would bottle, so the big 5-gallon glass jugs, I had 4 of them. So that was 20 gallons, and that would last us to the day. That would last us like 13 or 14 days. So every other Saturday, we drive up there, fill up our water, and then come back. And that was like the purest, best spring water, like best water we've ever had. We don't have access to that right now. So now we do reverse osmosis. We add minerals back in. We have a water structuring device. In time, like I would like to have like spring water delivered here if we have access to that. We don't. We live in Amish country, so like we need access to good quality water. But like I think that's the best place for most people to start is water. Air could be like right there with it because you're breathing in more air. You're breathing in more air than you are eating food, than you are drinking water. So these are like the few places I'd start: food, water, and air.
I have a counter reverse osmosis water system. Use that. Once my wife and I, moved to Colorado, we got into our apartment. We take like there was no access to clean water. It was just like tap water, no even like a fridge filter. Not that that does much anyway. And so like I drank the water. I'm like, this is not going to cut it. Like we need to
Yeah.
get and then what's the website where you can look to see where your local water is contaminants are
Um. It's oh my
EWG or something.
So yeah,
Yeah.
ewg.org/tap water. You can type in your zip code and you can see exactly, your tap water. When I do it to mine, I have like 12 carcinogens in there over the safe level. It's not good.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I got that. I know what's the one you have? It's like True something or
AquaTrue?
Aqua True. I have the
Yeah.
one I think is called like Blue Eva, Blue.
I don't know how to say it, but I
Yeah,
know what you're talking
yeah.
about.
I had to track that one down. So I was like watching a video like 2 years ago of like Paul Saladino's like home tour, and I like saw it in the back corner. So I like zoomed in, screenshotted it, like reverse Google image, searched it, and
Yep.
then I was like, okay, I found it. It's a reverse osmosis. It's got a glass carafe, and then we bought some extra carafes that so we can just always have some extra filled. And having clean water is like it's ruined not having clean water now. Like I have to like travel with this.
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm a little bit more strict with the water than my wife is. If since we've been together 13 years, I've never drank tap water when we go out to a restaurant. Like I just can't do it. Like if the waiter brings tap water and just sits at well, it could be any water, like the glass water. I just don't drink it. Now, at times I might just ask, do you have like a bottle, like a glass bottle, whether it's Mountain Valley or whatever the glass, like I might drink that, but like I just don't drink the water at restaurants and anywhere. You don't know where it's been. I don't know.
Mhm.
I'm just particular about it
No,
myself.
I agree. Um, so what do you do for, because reverse osmosis is taking everything out of it, good and bad, minerals, everything. Well, what are you using to remineralize it, and how important is that versus just, salting your food and eating good food?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a fan of remineralizing it. We use constant trace mineral drops. You can just get it on Amazon for they're up in their prices. I think it's like $40, but that could last you with a family of like 2 or 3, like 4 to 6 months, just depending on what you're doing. We use it for our dogs. Our son who's 8 months old, he gets just a tiny bit of water a day. Then my wife and I. But that's what we're doing. And I think it's pretty important because if you're just drinking, plain reverse osmosis water, and you're not eating like a mineral rich diet, which, our soil's pretty depleted with minerals, then you're going to be stripping your body of minerals. So I'm a big fan of remineralizing it. It's kind of the same concept of why don't we drink ocean water? It's too mineralized, it's too salty. It's the opposite. So like when you're drinking, reverse osmosis water with virtually nothing in it, it's drawing water out of your cells, which is dehydrating you from the inside out.
Hmm. So water, air. Most people don't know that the interior, your home air, can be more polluted, more worse than the exterior air.
Yeah. It's actually this has been like the past year and a half, 2 years has really been like a big focus of air of mine, like just really just trying to like optimize that in our home because I got an air purifier for the first time probably 5 years ago, maybe right around 2020. And that was a game changer alone, like in our apartment that we were living in now. Now we have a bigger home, so we have a few air purifiers throughout the house. But if you think about it, I mean, it's basically a Tupperware container. Like we are locked in a house and say you live anywhere, I mean, you want to allow that fresh air to come in. But if you're cooking, and this happens to me every single night, like I have a range hood that I have on full blast. I could just be cooking as gently as possible, but those toxins, like just a little bit of smoke, is getting in my house, and it'll turn on my Jasper, which is downstairs in my dining room, which is maybe 15 yards away from my kitchen. But then at the same time, because central air we have is all throughout the house, my son's air doctor in his nursery goes off at the same time because it's traveling through all the vents. I would never have thought that that stuff would be in his nursery. So having like just any air purifier, there's, certifications that you want to look for good ones, but having an air purifier in the home is super valuable because not only are the cooking toxins, the PM 2.5s getting trapped in your home, but then if you have any furniture that's, not Green Guard Gold certified or, it's not up to par with the non-toxic certifications, not to mention like most homes in America are built with um, insulation and materials that are off gassing certain chemicals. It's actually kind of crazy when you start digging into it. So having an air purifier is like one of the best things that you can do. It's an investment for sure, but
Mhm.
it's one of the best investments you can make.
What's also interesting, most people don't know this, like if you live in a home, especially like the Midwest, homes without basements with crawl spaces, like if you get underneath there, you see this like nasty crawl space. Up to, I think it's over 50% of the air that you actually breathe in your home comes up from the crawl space. So you're getting like that nasty, exposed, moldy, mildewy air that comes up. It's called the stack effect. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's nuts. I mean, we live in Pennsylvania and everywhere has basements. And I was actually when we moved to Texas a few years ago, with like they don't have basements there really. Like it's just like flat on the ground. Like I grew up in Pennsylvania and we always have basements and it's mold is a big issue. You're getting a lot of moisture and everything. So that's another big issue. I mean, an air purifier from a mold standpoint, you want to get one that can actually, like a good HEPA filter. You have a carbon filter, but also a HEPA filter that can actually remove mold. And so we have a couple that I mentioned in our home, but just getting one that can actively remove not only like the food toxins, but then the mold and other things that might be in your air.
Was looking at the Jasper and preparation for it because I watched your video. And yeah, those things are expensive, but they look pretty heavy duty. They look like they can move some air.
Yeah, for sure. And we have a couple of them, but I talked about them on the home tour that you mentioned, but that's just something that we, I mean, I have several uh, things that I get excited for in the health space. I'm a nerd like that, but
Yeah.
like air pure, like that's just one thing I just get super excited for is just knowing that, I'm breathing in good air. Our newborn son, my postpartum wife, who was then, we've had it for a few years and she's, prenatal and just getting her body ready. It's just like such a peace of mind having that. We open up and what I call is burping the house, like open up the windows. Like that's such a free thing that you can do even in the winter. Just open up your windows for 10 or 15 minutes, allow that cross breeze to come in and allow the air to just kind of refresh itself. That's one free thing that a lot of people can do right now. You don't need to jump to an air purifier. It's not like, right now, if you're ready for it, like do your research and get a good one. But like just opening up some windows and maybe for the water, just like maybe you can go to a spring and get some spring water. It's a little bit of effort, but just do a little bit of research. And these are some free things that people can do right away to, help their health.
Real quick, before we get too deep into this conversation, I wanted to give you guys a peek under the hood when it comes to the data. So the data on this app shows me that less than 21% of my average monthly listeners are actually subscribed to the show. Now, subscribing to the show helps way more than you'd think. It helps the show get pushed out to more people. It helps the show grow. It helps me get more guests. It helps improve the quality. So if you guys like listening to me and more importantly, like listening to the guests that I'm bringing on, do me a quick favor, hit the subscribe button right here on this app, and we will continue to grow the show bigger and better with each and every episode. Thank you so much. What is the certification that you mentioned for furniture? I've never heard of that. I haven't been able to dive down that rabbit hole yet.
There's a few certifications, Green Guard Gold certified. That just makes sure that the furniture, and it could be dressers, it could be a mattress, it could be a crib. We looked into this a lot for our son's nursery, but that just makes sure that that wasn't built with any harmful chemicals or sprays or glues or adhesives. There's plenty of other certifications we talked about in our guide. Um, uh, so there's a few others that we could talk about to make sure that there's not harmful off gassing of any furniture, because not only like you can get like a couch that is made entirely of polyester or plastic, but like you can get like a good quality piece of furniture, but then you can smell it, like literally when you get it off gases. So you just want to make sure you're looking for those certifications if you can.
You and your wife, first love, nutrition, nutritionist. What did you learn in school that maybe is not aligned with what you believe now?
Most things. I say that lightheartedly, but also kind of seriously. I mean, we went to Penn State and um, we both started out pretty much like end of our freshman year. We were like, okay, nutrition. That's how we met, was in a biology class. And she was doing all the work for me because, that was just her. Like, but nutrition, like when we got into the sciences, like I really love, and the sciences are incredible, like the biochemistries, the chemistries, the biologies, amazing. But when you get into the nutrition recommendation classes, at a lot of these universities, uh, it just didn't align with what the science was really saying. Like they were saying, like the seed oils are, completely heart healthy. But then I would go to my biochemistry class, and the biochemistry professor is saying like how they oxidize super easily. It didn't align. And so I really started doing my own research, like traveling to live events, reading the books, listening to podcasts, just listening to all these other experts, just to kind of like there's this whole other world out there I wanted to learn about. And so I started learning, just both sides of it, like seed oils, good, bad, ugly, and different. Same thing with like whole grains. Like we were on that kick for like the first freshman year, sophomore year of college. This is over 10, 12 years ago now. That was us, like whole grains. And then we realized, oh, maybe gluten's maybe not the best thing for us. You maybe want to. So we eventually evolved into sourdough and fermenting our bread, and the differences in food preparation and how that can make a big difference in lowering the gluten content. And so those are probably the first couple things that I learned in school that I maybe had to unlearn as we went throughout our journey.
Why do you think they don't align? Why do you think the actual guidelines don't align with the science that you were learning?
Man, I think there's a lot of I think there's a lot of politics. I think there's a lot of money. There's a lot of history that goes into that, back to the even I was going to say the 1950s with Ansel Keys and the whole saturated fat and everything, but I think it goes back even earlier than that to the early 1900s with Procter and Gamble and Crisco and all that. And the American Heart Association being founded really in like 1920, but really ramping up in like 1940, and basically just being paid off. Like, we know this is a fact by big sugar companies and then big food companies, and the same tobacco owners that owned tobacco companies, Philip Morris and R.J. Reynolds, they basically bought big food companies and used the same playbook that they were doing with big tobacco to target doctors using that to target their patients. Basically, they were using the same playbook to target children. You can see it up and down every aisle. With tricks and all the cartoons on packages. So yeah, there's a lot of things going on there that people are trying to bring to light nowadays.
What were some of the first changes that you started implementing after kind of diving in, doing your own research?
Hmm. I guess I'll back up a little bit. And so this really, for me personally, I mentioned like my wife and I met in 2013, freshman year of college at Penn State, and we got together in May of 2014. And so our first year together, we were learning this. I was a college athlete, swimming and baseball, two-sport athlete. And so I was trying to implement a lot of what I was learning in my nutrition courses. We were doing it together. But then in February of 2015, my wife and I were together for almost a year. And my uncle at the time, he was 43 and he had two young kids himself. He actually went to bed one night and didn't wake up. Like, he had a massive heart attack in his sleep. He was really like a second dad to me. Like, it was, super close. And we come to find out a few days later, or a couple weeks later, that he had a massive heart attack. And he wasn't outwardly unhealthy. Like, he was just like a normal dad bod looking guy. So it really threw all of us for like a loop. And so for the first few months, I was like kind of depressed, like trying to figure things out. I was a sophomore in college. Like, what do I do? And so that's really what sparked it for me, is trying to learn as much as I could. Like, I traveled to the events. You read the books, listened to the podcasts, all the things. And so I really started experimenting like so much with everything. Like, I wanted to know like any different type of diet, like a paleo diet. I came to do like maybe more carnivore stylish diets later on. I would do plant-based. I tried to do most of the things to see what worked for me. And really what kind of aligned with me first was a higher fat, more ketogenic approach. As I transitioned out of being a college athlete into just like a more lifestyle athlete, if you will. Like, I still love competing. I have that competitive edge. So like, I would do events. I'll do things like that outside of college, now especially. But like, just seeing how carbs fueled me, how fat fueled me, and just like trying to do that. So that's really like kind of the first shift that I made, was seeing not only from an athletic performative standpoint how food could help or hurt me, but just like longevity purposes and inflammation purposes. Because when I switched around my diet, like, I was eating like pretty much the old dietary guidelines. Now that we have new updated ones, which I'm a fan of. Back then in 2014, like, I was following the dietary guidelines. I was swimming like 9,000 meters a day. Like, I was swimming a ton, but I had like an inflamed look to my face, to my body. When I started just changing the quality of foods that I was eating, I looked completely different. I looked younger. I looked healthier, and so that's really kind of where we both started.
What do you find yourself eating more of now? Is it more animal based? Do you like adding fruits and vegetables? Do you have any aversion to that, or any carbs?
No, we eat fruits and vegetables, and I definitely went through my phases, but it's definitely more animal based aligned, but it's like a looser version of what maybe an animal based, quote unquote, animal based diet is. Like, we eat the sourdough breads that we make here at home or get from our local farm. We do eat vegetables, as long as they don't really aggravate me. I don't have any history of autoimmune issues, so they don't aggravate me. Things like that. But we do eat fruit. We try to follow it seasonally. Like, we get most of our food from our local farms, so like that's local and in season. That's typically what we're doing, but I don't know if I would give it a label per se, but we definitely follow, most of our calories from animal sources.
When I was talking to Brian Sanders the other day, he's like, "Yeah, I'm camp, no camp. Like, I don't put me in that carnivore.
Yeah.
Don't put me in that. I just try to eat a variety of different foods that are single ingredient whole foods that make me feel good."
Yeah. Yeah, that's the way it is. And you might have heard this said before, but There, I think everybody wants to find their tribe, their camp, whether that, in the dietary perspective, like it could be a vegan, it could be carnivore, it could be paleo, everybody wants their camp and community. But the problem is our ancient biology, we might require nutrients that don't fall within that camp. After 5, 10 years of pushing hard enough, you might realize like just using vegan vegetarian as an example, like maybe you're pushing hard enough in that you realize like maybe my body needs more B12 from food sources, not supplement sources, or maybe my body needs more zinc or vitamin A in the retinol form. So that's why I don't prescribe to any label, like Brian was saying. And I don't know. I just like to eat what makes me feel good, and I'm at a point now where we've been at this 13 years. I just really like to just do what feels good, what tastes good, and I'm the home chef here. I do all the cooking for my wife and my son mostly, and I just like to cook good food. And we follow like I was talking about this on Instagram the other day, but in our home, like that's the one thing that we can control is our home environment. And so we don't intentionally bring, for the most part, unless it's an accident, certain ingredients into our home, seed oils being one of them, because our society has enough of that. Like our society has no structure. Like you can find anything and everything, and there's really no structure when you leave the house. And so if we go out to eat, like I used to be at a point where I'd be like, hey, what's that cooked in? Just make sure it's butter, like actual butter, not like soybean oil mixed with whatever. I used to do that. Now I just want to enjoy the experience and not just, so we control our home environment so much that when we do eat out, and it's rare that we do, yeah, I'll take the little bit of hit from whatever's not in our home, if that makes
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah, I resonate with that completely. If you're too strict with it, you miss out on you maybe miss out on the social factors, which we're discovering is like just as important. Like having those family, having those connections, being able to have those social factors are very important for longevity and health that we found. Like we look at these cultures that have families that live together for a very long time, and we see the impact it has on longevity.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at the blue zones in particular, and I mean, they're following a certain set of rules, if you will, or just lifestyles. And I think a community is like the biggest, maybe underreported factor when it comes to that. Of course, diet and the lack of smoking and the movement that they're doing plays a big role. But I just think community like plays the biggest factor in some of these longevity communities. Um, my step great grandma, she just passed away last month at 102, going on 103. My wife's great grandma will be 107 or 108 this year, this October, and she's still living independently.
That's
Like it's
crazy.
awesome. And actually, fun fact. So it was 2019. It was for her 100th birthday. We had a big party, of course. We celebrated for her, and we got her aside. We pulled her aside, my wife and I, and we asked her, what were some of your secrets growing up that, got you to this point to live so healthfully? And she gave us like five quick bullet points. And she said, well, it was kind of the funny answer that she gave us, but she said, I store all my food in glass. Like that was her thing then. She's like, I store all my food in glass. I use olive oil. I walk to the library on most days out of the week. I think she said like 3 or 4 days, and she reads a good book at the library. And the big thing she said was that she didn't have work stress her whole life. Her husband worked for her and provided for her family, and she was able to not have a lot of work stress. And I was like, these are great insights. I love this so much. So that's something that my wife and I, we won't forget. And that it was just a nice little conversation we had with her.
Yeah, I mean, what is it? Move it or lose it. Like a lot of people, once they get retirement age, are like just start sitting down, watching more TV, not up and active, and then you see a sharp decline. Like you got to stay on your feet, you got to stay moving, and that that allows you to stay functional and healthy for significantly longer.
It doesn't need to be anything crazy. It doesn't need to be, there's benefits to high intensity interval training, doing sprints, and there's absolute benefits to lifting weights. But like for the general person that's listening, like just going for a walk, like half-hour walk in the morning or 20-minute walk, getting 3K steps in, doing that once or twice a day and just being consistent with it. There's so much research showing that the benefits of that just for brain health and just, keeping your muscle mass on, and that's so important as we age. But yeah, you don't need to be crazy with it. Like lift weights, maybe for the general person, like once or twice a week. Same thing with HIIT training, like get your heart rate up, but then just walk. Most of it is just walking. And I think that should be the foundation.
Walk me through your day when it comes to meal timing and what you're eating. Like, what are some non-negotiables in your diet right now, and when are you eating? And is there like a longer fasting window for you?
That's what kind of one of the things that got me into the health space was having a good fasting window. You mentioned it. And bulletproof coffee was like a first love of mine in 2015. Like I never drank coffee before. Now, I love my coffee as long as it's like a good high quality cup. I love making it. Um, and so I would do that. I would just make a bulletproof coffee with Kerrygold butter and the MCT oils and a good quality cup of coffee. And I would fast until like 1, maybe 2 o'clock. And that was my thing. And I felt really good doing that. I was definitely pumping out ketones and all that. And I did that for probably 5 or 6 years. Like that was my thing. I would skip breakfast and do that until it wasn't good for me anymore. Like I got to a point where I was maybe fasting too much. I was losing some muscle mass. And this was right around the COVID time frame. I was down, me personally, I'm 6'1". I was down to like 160 pounds. Like I actually, if you go to my Instagram, you'll see like my before photo. It was absolutely terrible. Like I lost a lot of weight. I was fasting too much. I wasn't lifting heavy, but then I added in some resistance training and, I started eating breakfast, like a high protein breakfast. And I found that I really enjoyed that. So now I eat breakfast. Typically I'm getting up early, like right. We have an 8 month
Yeah.
old. So who knows when I'm getting up, but, I'm typically eating breakfast. It could be 8, 9, 10 o'clock, right in that window, like not first thing. I like to give myself a few hours, 2 to 3 hours after I'm up. That's just where I'm at now. So I don't really consider myself like really intermittent fasting like I used to, but I'm still probably getting like a good 14-hour, if not 16-hour window of like minimal calories. Like I might have like maybe a little bit of splashed milk in my coffee or something like that. But that's what I'm doing. And typically when I'm breaking my fast, it's always going to be like a protein rich meal. And right now I'm loving like a Greek yogurt bowl. We get Greek yogurt from our farm. I mix a good protein powder in there. It's like a beef isolate protein powder or a whey protein, berries, like wild blueberries, maybe like a better for you granola. And if I'm a little bit more active, maybe I'll throw on some maple syrup or something like that. So that's
Dude,
like a
we're
typical
we're breaking our
morning.
fast. We're breaking it the same way, man. Greek yogurt. I'll throw in some maple syrup. I'll throw in some blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, some pumpkin seeds, some cashews, and then like yeah, a grain-free like nut coconut based like granola on the top, and
Yeah.
that's what I'm breaking.
It's just so good. It's almost like a dessert, but like when you break down maybe the macros and just like the benefits of the gut, like it's just so good. It's satiating. I'm full. I mean, say I have that at 9:30, like I'm full until like 1 o'clock. And typically like I could work out like right around that time, maybe use the carbs in there for fuel and fuel my body that way. And then lunch, I'm doing something similar with the protein. Like I'm having, it could be ground beef, it could be steak, mostly ground beef because it's a cheaper cut of meat, but you're still getting in a lot of protein. Avocado, eggs, like not all together, but like a variety of that, different meals. Could be like a slice of sourdough with something on there. And my wife's about the same, maybe a little different with some of her choices, just being postpartum and everything. And then also a smoothie, like just depends on the day. Could be a post-workout smoothie as well with maybe some creatine thrown in there, berries. I'm a fan. I've been doing raw milk kefir for several years now, very consistently. So we'll do that. And then dinner time is usually like, I don't know, any time between like 6 and 8 right now with our son, because it's trying to navigate that world of being a new parent. So that's kind of the day is something like that.
I eat a little later, so I same we have a similar breakfast as we discussed. I like to eat between like 11 and 12. Um, and then I'll have like that big yogurt bowl, and then I will have a little bit later, like again, like a beef isolate, like Equip Foods or whatever, a
Yep.
beef
Yep.
protein drink later in the day. I'll do like 2 scoops of that with a little bit of milk in it and water, and then I'll have some fruit and a scoop of creatine in that, and then I'll have only one more meal. So I'm basically just doing like 2 meals and that protein drink, and that's been really great for me. Like I feel good. I try to stop eating around 4. So I have like a 5-hour eating window, which I know it doesn't seem like long, but I sleep good. I don't wake up super hungry. Like I eat when I get hungry, and it allows me to train. I'll do like a running, like a fasted cardio in the morning, and then I'll do like I'll go to like a CrossFit gym for again the community aspect in the afternoon, and
Yeah.
it's been pretty good.
That's what I was gonna ask you if you feel like you're able to train to the way you want to eating that way. Because I know if I was, like, restricting any kind of calories, I definitely wasn't able to put in the volume that I needed to,
Mhm.
and that's one of the reasons I lost, like, probably 20 pounds. I'm sure most of that was, like, muscle at one point. I've since gained that back. I'm up to like 190. And I have a Hume body pod scale here, so I can track to see where my lean muscle, it breaks it all down.
Hmm.
So I've been using that, and eventually, I think this month I'm going to experiment with some peptide use
Oh,
and
cool.
things like that. Never got into that world, so
Yeah.
we'll see how that goes. We'll
Yeah.
see if this ages well, but I don't know.
Well, I've noticed I've been able to train pretty good. Like I said, I'm able to do like a run or something in the morning, fasted, and I feel pretty good, pretty great when I've been doing that. And like my afternoon meal, my evening meal is like a big meal. Like I'm having like you said, ground beef, some eggs, some Parmesan cheese. I'm having more fruit. I'm having some sweet potatoes and vegetables, and it's been good. I'm I'm like 5'10". Right now I'm weighing like 205, but again, I do a lot of strength training, a lot of resistance training, and it doesn't seem like my numbers are going down, which is good. But I would be happy losing a little bit of weight because I've been doing this stupid ultra marathon Ironman thing and lugging around all these pounds of extra muscle up in my shoulders maybe isn't the best for these these
Yeah.
sports.
Oh man, I mean, doing that cardio and the ultra marathon, like I've never done that to that. I've never gone to that extent. I've done triathlons. Like my wife and I, we worked on beach patrol in Ocean City, Maryland for a few summers. So I did triathlons there. You'd swim a mile in the ocean, then you'd bike 12 miles, and then you'd run a 5K and see if you could beat your time and have a good time doing that. So that was fun, and I liked being a lighter weight for me. Like I wasn't super muscular or anything. Like I was probably sitting 180 at that point at 6'1", and that was I was really lean at that point. I might have been like 5% body fat at that point. Um, but then probably the hardest workout I've ever done was the Barbarian. You've heard of that?
Hmm.
Liver
Hmm.
King's workout, yeah. Um, I did it in his driveway. I worked for his team for a year when he was blowing up there in 2022. And so that's news to everybody, I'm sure. But I did the Barbarian in his driveway, and I was probably like a 180, and that took me 2.5 hours, and it was
Yeah.
like the worst thing I've ever done.
Explain
Just
the Barbarian.
grueling.
So
Yeah, so you walk a mile. That's it. You just walk a mile, but you have all this weight strapped to you. So you have two 10-pound ankle weights, 10 pounds on each ankle, um, a 70-pound kettlebell in each hand. It's a 70-pound backpack, and then you're pulling what ends up being like a 120-pound sled. So whatever that equals. And then if you're walking on any kind of elevation, it's rough, but you just walk a mile, and it took me 2.5 hours. So you can't take the weight off at all. You can lay on your back, but then you got to like use all your strength to kind of get
get
back
back
up
up.
onto your
Yeah.
feet. Yeah. So that there, I know people that have done it in like 45 minutes. I know people that have taken 6 to 7 hours to do it. So I was kind of right there in the middle, but
Yeah.
it was absolutely terrible.
Well, I was a grip that went first. I mean, 270-pound kettlebells going is pretty rough.
My grip was fine the whole time. Honestly, it was, I think my endurance, to be honest, like I just don't think I weighed enough. Because no matter what weight you are, like I know 6'5" guys that are 250 that can do it. It's the same weight,
Hmm.
for whether you're 100 pounds, it's the same weight for guys. And those are the weights that I mentioned were for the guys. There's different weights for the ladies. But most people, it's the grip that goes. But for me, I want to say it was probably my back more than anything. Like the backpack was just hanging down so low, and I have a history of slip disc in my low back, so I think that was the issue for me. And then the endurance. I think I went out of the gates too hot and tried going a half mile in like a half hour, and I just completely
Yeah.
wiped out after that.
Was it on like a paved road, gravel road? What was it?
Paved,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
all
that's so
paved.
gross.
Yeah, it's terrible.
I need to give that a try sometime. I think that would be fun to say I did it. One of the I don't I've done a lot of nasty workouts. I remember one workout that stuck out to me. I went to a track with the 53-pound kettlebell, and the workout was like you had to hold the kettlebell in a front rack position, and it was like 400-meter lunges around the track. So you have to do a lunge around the track, but every minute, including zero, you have to run 400 meters. So it's like 3, 2, 1, go. You run 400 meters. You pick up the kettlebell and you start lunging in the remaining amount of time. And then you drop it at the 3-minute mark and then you run. So back to the kettlebell. And so as you get more fatigued, it's taking longer on these runs. And then you're getting, so it was a lot of running and it was pretty gross.
You know Eric Hinman, right?
Yeah. Yep.
That's not his workout. He has this thing. It's like the
Yeah.
hardest
The
mile or
hardest
something.
mile. No, his is, I don't think it's weighted. But he has like 400-meter lunges. It's like a 400-meter burpee broad jump, 400-meter handstand walk, and I don't remember a 400-meter. Is it bear crawl, or maybe that's
I think
instead of the
so.
handstand walk? Yeah, well, but yeah, I do know Eric, and yeah, that's gross too.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like something I would want to do willingly, but if I had the right community, like maybe I would do it. And I don't know how long that takes, but it doesn't sound fun, and not
Well,
really.
the community aspect is what makes all of these challenges fun. It's like you just get a group of lads together, and you're like, okay, we're gonna do this. It's gonna suck. We're gonna all cheer each other on, and it's just gonna be a good time. And then you have those memories. So that's what makes it fun, is just doing the hard things with other people.
And I think that's what makes life fun, just having community. I mean, what's the first thing that whenever you receive good news or bad news, what's the first thing you do? You
My
go tell
wife, yeah.
somebody. Exactly. Like whenever something good happens at your job or wherever, it's like you tell somebody. Or whenever something bad happens, you just want to seek out comfort or talk to somebody about it. So community is everything, and that kind of goes back to what we were talking about with like blue zones and just like our great grandparents. And it's community is everything. Nobody wants to feel lonely. Nobody wants to have that loneliness. So yeah, wherever, and everyone wants to find their tribe. And so I think, kind of going all over the place with this conversation, I think like that's one reason it's hard to leave diet camp sometimes. If you prescribe to a label, carnivore, vegan, vegetarian, paleo, keto, that's what makes it hard to leave, because like you follow these set of rules. Maybe you're struggling with a health challenge, but you just don't want to leave because that's your community.
Hmm.
That's your safety net. That's your comfort zone. How do you leave that? Right. So I don't know. I'm a fan of like you said, team no camp. So it's just like finding a group of people that lives the same lifestyle that I think has legs to stand on long term, like this
Hmm.
longevity component. What can you sustain long term? Like, I think a lot of these diet modalities, whether that's carnivore or vegan or whatever, has their place like in the short term. I think they're good tools to use. And this is my own personal perspective. But to do them long term, I just don't know if that's 100% sustainable, especially not with the society that we're in. But even like if you were like a hunter gatherer, like I still don't like, I mean, if you're a hunter gatherer and you're trying to follow a diet camp, if they came across honey, like in their carnivores, like why would you just not eat the honey? Why
Yeah.
would you just not eat the potato? Why would you just not like, why would you not drink the milk? Like they would do it. Like they're gonna be like, oh, I'm not, I can't get the calories because I'm part of a certain camp. Like I don't believe in that. For the religious reasons, of course, but like just so I
Yeah.
digress.
I mean, I completely agree. Another thing that's unfortunate as well is I feel like people, they can't admit that they were wrong, or don't want to admit that they were wrong in some aspects. So it's like, I'm going to start doing carnivore. I feel really, really bad, but I said this was the way to go, so I'm just going to keep on going, instead of just being like, hey, it's not right or wrong. I'm just learning. I'm just trying to figure out my experience, what works best for me. But also on the flip side is, people won't let you forget. Like they will chastise you. Like you have like people like Paul Saladino, who's like hardcore carnivore, and then he adds, fruit in. And now like I watched a video the other day, like he was eating asparagus and vegetables. And then I watch another video that pops up. It's like Paul Saladino's this dumb, he's going back on carnivore. He's like,
Yeah.
well, it's just like a lesson. Like just let people learn, progress,
Yeah.
and lift them up for learning and progressing. Don't hold them back for any mistakes that they may or may not have made.
I respect people so much more when they admit that they're wrong and they're just like, it's all part of their journey. And like, you're like, hey, I'm trying this now. It doesn't mean, you're a hypocrite. It's like it's all part of the journey. It's all part of the process. Compared to people that just stay in it for 10 years, even though they're suffering, maybe they don't show it on social media or they're struggling with something, just to keep their image. And it's like, that's not only hurting themselves, but that's hurting all the people that are following them, because they're probably hurting too, to some extent. And it's like, if we can just be open about, our forthcomings and like what's working in our lives, what's not working, and just, that's going to help everybody, ourselves included.
100%. What was it like to be with Liver King when he was blowing up, and then now looking at him, he has gone off the rails, man. Like I feel
I
bad
know.
for him. Something's going on with his head.
I know. So, my wife and I, so we lived in Wilmington, North Carolina in 2020, 2021. Beautiful there. One of our favorite places in the world. And, I got a job at Ancestral Supplements of, January of 2022. We moved to Texas, which is where they're located. And I started working for Ancestral Supplements for like 30 days. And then okay, he saw like how like my background in podcasting with I was working for a top podcast at the time. And he saw that. So he's like, hey, join my team. It was me and three other guys. There's four of us guys. And then he had a team of, videographers, editors, and all that sort of stuff. And this is right at the time he might have had like 30K followers, like nothing crazy. And then it was like right when we joined, he blew up, obviously. And so all of 2022 was like his year to like, it was going crazy. All the podcasts, like Impulsive Podcast, he was flying all over to Dubai, doing everything. And so that was just a whirlwind of everything. So I was really helping him get on podcast. I was helping him travel. I was helping him with his social media. And I was at a lot of his filming events at his house, at his ranch. So I got to know him like really well. Like I'd spend a lot of time with him there. Like we moved there for that, well, for Ancestral Supplements. And then it was in October or November of 2022. I transitioned back to Ancestral Supplements and became their head of education. So more or less a face of their brand, just putting out a ton of social media content. And then consequently, not because of it, but consequently, that was kind of when the steroid thing came to light, I think in December of 2022. And so it was just like weird timing on my part to shift back to Ancestral Supplements. And then I did a lot of the social media work there. I started the YouTube channel for them and started putting out content and podcasts, interviewing guests. And then it was just last September, right when I got back from paternity leave. We made the decision I'm going to go full time with this creator influencer thing, and that's what my wife and I are doing full time. So I'm doing this, and it's just been a progression ever since. So it's just been really cool.
What is your take on how he was eating, like the diet that he was pushing at the time?
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, and he even said this on podcast, but like a lot of it, like he followed it exactly like what social media shows. And I touched on this earlier, how there needs to be a level of entertainment, but he lives that lifestyle behind the scenes. Like he does that, like he eats that food. But you need to put on a level of entertainment to make things blow up on social media to a certain extent. Like, doesn't mean, like you need to be like, fake or inauthentic. It's just like you need to have a level of entertainment for people to watch. And so that's what he leaned into heavily. And that was strategic. But like that doesn't mean he didn't do it behind the scenes. Like he actually ate that stuff and he lived the lifestyle. So he was really authentic. He just like put on this like big entertainment front to really blow up, and it worked, of course. And I was helping him with that on social media and getting on podcasts. But as far as his diet goes, like I think people labeled him as like a strict carnivore. He ate potatoes. He would eat some vegetables. He ate a lot of fruit at times, dairy. Like he wasn't a strict carnivore, but he ate a lot of different foods. And so, yeah, I mean, I definitely leaned heavily into that, and that helped my animal-based journey. And I definitely was probably the healthiest I've ever been when working at that point in time in my life. Like when you're surrounded by people that are working out and just eating a good diet, like healthy, like, like local foods, good protein, and you're just surrounded by that community once again, like we were talking about. Yeah, I was like at the healthiest point I've probably ever been, like most amount of muscle. So that was really cool, to do that. So yeah, behind the scenes, like it was legit.
What
And
about the raw aspect of it?
so the raw aspect is interesting. I put out a YouTube video probably last year. It might be going on 2 years ago at this point, talking about Weston A. Price's beliefs and what he found traveling the world back in the 1920s, I believe. There was always like 10 or 11 principles that hunter-gatherers or more primitive culture tribes followed. And a part of what they always followed, humans have always followed, is eating a portion of their diet raw. And so that doesn't mean always eating raw meat. That doesn't always mean eating like raw dairy or raw vegetables. So I think eating a lot of raw foods can be a problem because it's not pre-digested, getting into the scientific aspect of it. One, I think most people see that as gross, like raw meat, like eating raw testicles, raw, when you cook a steak, like that tastes really good. Like it just like pre-cooks it for you. Like there's a reason that cooked beef tastes better than uncooked beef. And so I do think there's a benefit of consuming some portion of our foods raw. I think there's a benefit of consuming some portions of our food fermented. I think there's a benefit of cooking some of our foods, but leaning too far in one direction, I think can pose problems. And I think, again, going back to the entertainment, I think probably eating raw foods just performed really well on social media.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Um, yeah, I remember that time when he started blowing up, and then you'd get all the other social media feeds of like people just like, this is dinner, and they'd open like a package of raw ground beef, just plop it on their
yeah,
plate, and they just start eating it out of the square. Those were wild times, man. Those were fun.
yeah, yeah,
What is your opinion on? I mean, obviously you worked at Ancestral, which is like a desiccated powdered organ company. What is your opinion on taking these organ pills versus organ meats,
yeah.
and should you implement them?
I think fresh is best. So, I mean, historically, we've always prioritized eating organs first. Like they contain certain nutrients that muscle meats, like ground beef and steaks and the back straps, they contain a different nutrient profile than those muscle meats would. And so, I'm a big fan of consuming organ meats, liver and heart, and all the kidney and spleen, all these other organs, but let's be honest, they're not the tastiest. Like, we don't have the palate for them. We humans probably used to have a palate for them. If you go to, maybe the Hadza or the Maasai, when they eat organs, they do it and they don't wince. Like, they crave that because they've built the palate from a very young age. It's gross to us now because we've grown up with Wheaties and Cheerios and granolas and whatever, and so it's just different to us now. So I always advocate for getting in fresh when you can, making it into recipes. So like in a chili, like a ground beef organ blend with like liver into chili or into meatloaf or what have you. That's like my favorite way to get them in. But if people don't want to do that, they don't have access to organs. Like we go up to our farm and get them. If you don't have access to them, then a freeze dried, desiccated, which is just freeze dried organ supplement is the next best thing. And so you take like 6 capsules, and that's, I think, 1 or 2 ounces of a little bit of beef liver. That's the next best thing. You're going to get a similar nutrient profile, not as much as the fresh thing, but it's the best that you can get next to the fresh thing.
I never bought them like straight liver, straight heart, straight kidney, but like the Force of Nature ancestral blends where they're
Yeah.
mixed in, those are a great option too. And they taste great. I mean, they taste like ground beef. Yeah, maybe it's a little tougher at times, but those organ meats are a little tougher because they're working.
Yeah, our son's 8 months. We're trying to like sprinkle some of the capsules onto his food right now, whether that's a yogurt or a sprouted oatmeal or whatever we want to make him. We sprinkle just a capsule of the beef liver powder on his food, and he doesn't seem, he doesn't know anything else. So he's going to grow up loving that. And the older he gets, we'll make him a beef organ blend of liver and heart in his meatloaf, and hopefully, fingers crossed he grows to love it. We don't want to just like introduce it when he's like 6 years old and he'd be like, what is this, dad? So starting him young is key.
What are some other things that you guys are prioritizing with a newborn?
Um, I think just staying connected, like we're both blessed to be able to work from home. So he's actually probably down for a nap right now. My wife's mom is here watching him. And so I think just being present is a big thing. And we are blessed and fortunate enough to be able to have access to that, just being around all the time. But in terms of like other health related things, like that was part of the home tour video is just like getting the good air. Because this really ramped us up to a whole other level and really what made me prioritize these things. Like before he was born, like it was just us and we could, get away with certain things. But now I'm thinking about another human and it's like, what do I want him exposed to? What don't I want him exposed to? And so, it's the air quality, the water quality, the products that we put on his skin, the clothing, just all this sort of stuff. And people might hear that and think like, oh, they're so like they're living in fear all the time, or like they're for us, it's second nature. Like we do it once, we forget it, and it's like we don't even think about it. We just have it in our home. So this is our lifestyle, and we just do it, and we don't really think about it. If we go out, maybe we'll make a different decision or just let society do its thing. But what we bring into our home, we're pretty intentional about.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. It's sometimes you feel like, so some things that I implement, like, stainless steel cookware, water filters, air purifiers, things like that. That maybe people will come in and be like, "Hey, where's your nonstick? How can I cook eggs?" I'm like, you gotta just. It takes time to learn how to adapt to these things, and like we were saying earlier, it's not do it all at once because that's overwhelming. It's do it slowly. Just find the things to pick out, change, adapt, and you'll change and make these improvements over time.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a little bit of a learning curve there. My wife and I were just on a recent family vacation, us three, my son and my wife. We went to 30A, Florida. Have you heard of the area?
Mm-mm.
It's right west of Panama City and it's east of Destin, and it's this little strip on the panhandle of Florida. It almost gives me like European vibes. It's super chill. It's there's Seaside is right there, but then there's like Rosemary Beach. So we were sitting at breakfast the one morning, and the couple that was sitting next to us, they were talking with the other couple, and they were talking about cleaning products, and they were just like, "Yeah, we tried the natural cleaning products, but our clothes just don't smell good." And so it's like there is a learning curve to some of these things, and maybe when you switch to certain things that you just got to like find a way to maybe make it work. But like cleaning products or the food, like when you're switching your food over, it might not taste the same as your normal grocery order that you know purchase from the grocery store, your normal grocery order. So yeah, it just takes a little bit of a learning curve, and but your palate will adjust, like your laundry will adjust, like all this stuff will take care of itself. So I did ask. It's funny because like when you go to somebody's home and they have a certain smell to them, like you go and it's like you walk in, you're like, okay, that smell, or like you're somewhere else and like that smell reminds you of that person. Um, I asked our family, I was like, one time I was like, "Do we have like a smell to us?" Like I was just curious. And they're like, "No, like we walk in your home, it's just like neutral." And I'm like, "That's good to know because like I think that like just goes to show like we don't have a lot of tough like fragrances or strong fragrances. And it's just like a neutral smelling house. Like we open up the windows, it's like we don't have a strong smell to us. So I guess that's a good thing."
Yeah, I mean, that's something my wife and I keep trying her to pull away from is like the the fragranted or the fragranted laundry soap or like
Yeah.
the Tide pods or whatever. Why might people be sensitive or why might they want to avoid these fragrances, especially when it comes to like laundry soaps?
Yeah, especially like kids, like super sensitive, like their skin is so new and so fragile. There's fragrance, which can be like 100 or 1,000 different things. There's so many different chemicals that are in there that can cause not only skin issues, but like endocrine, like hormone issues. And so for, women, especially, like whether, you're in like perimenopause or, you're pregnant, 20 to 30 years old, messing with hormones. I mean, guys, like thyroid issues in particular, so that's the biggest thing is just they're endocrine disruptors, and our government doesn't really see it that way. And they're legal, and they've been given GRAS status. They're generally recognized as safe, but a lot of these chemicals are problematic for the hormones and skin and things like that. But if you go to the EWG Healthy Living app, and you can type in or take a screenshot of the barcode and you can get a grade of the product. So say you scan a certain cleaning product, you'll get a grade, whether it's like an A grade or an F grade or like a number 1 through 5. It'll tell you what the ingredients in there that are problematic and why they're problematic, and it'll give you maybe good alternatives. And so, yeah, I mean, that's stuff you're washing, like your laundry products. You're washing your clothes in that, then you're wearing that 24/7. It can be add up over time.
In your home tour video, I saw you have the desert plunge. You got the sauna. I can't remember the brand. Um, why why do you implement both the sauna and the cold plunge?
Man, that's something that I just love. I feel like it gives me life. Like contrast therapy just gives me life. There's no other better way to put it for me. It's like do a cold plunge. Even if you don't do the whole contrast thing, you just dip your head in cold water. Like I feel like it just like rejuvenates me. And I did cold plunge as an athlete like 10 years ago, not consistently, but I would do it and I just loved the way it felt. But then again, going back to community, we would do it all the time before our meetings at Ancestral Supplements. A few years ago, we had a couple ice barrels at headquarters. Dump in, like 20 pounds of ice into each barrel and fill it up, and it was like 32 degrees or less than. It's pure ice, and you stay in there for like I was staying there for 10 minutes and I would really build up my tolerance, and it was amazing. Like I would shiver and I was probably burning good fat and I just felt so mentally alert. But now Like you said, I have the desert plunge here. We have the sweat tent, but I actually, I just signed a good deal, a partnership with Heavenly Heat. So I'll
Nice.
be using them
I got
in
one
the near
right here.
future. You
Right.
got one?
Yeah, right here. I actually just had Warren Lentz on the podcast, the CEO.
No
He was
way.
great. Yeah. Yeah, I've got mine. I've got the Eco right here, the infrared sauna.
How do you like it?
I love it. I love it. I love the Eco because it's small. It's got a small footprint. Ideally, down the line, I want a bigger one so multiple people can
Yeah,
get in there. But this thing is an infrared sauna that gets up to 200 degrees, man. You will
that's
cook.
hot.
Yeah. I don't get in it at that temperature, but I did make a video because I wanted to see if it actually got up to that temp. And it does. If anything, the internal temp actually
Wow.
undershoots what's in there. So I'll get in. I'll turn it on. It takes 30 minutes to heat up to about 142. And then I'll get in at 142 and I just have it set to 200. So I'll stay in there for about 20 minutes while it continues to ride up. And by the time I get out, it's usually like 162. And for an infrared, that's very hot. Like it's
Yeah,
very miserable. But great. Like I sweat a ton. It's super efficient, super clean, doesn't have any smell to it. I love it.
that's awesome. That's super hot for an infrared. Like that's unheard of.
Yeah.
Is that because it's probably an eco? That's smaller unit, so
Hmm.
it's good for one individual.
Hmm.
So it's got a less area to heat up.
Yep.
Um, wow,
I was
like
talking,
that's awesome.
yeah, I was talking to Warren and he was like, dude, yours goes up to 200. I was like, yeah. He's like, man, we actually lowered the max temp because that's dangerous. I was like, well, I'm glad I got it early because it,
I know in our sweat tent, which is a wood burning, it has a wood burning stove in there, so you get like 4 or 5 logs in there and let it cook for 30 minutes. In the summer, that could be up to 200 degrees. And that's, I mean, a traditional heat, like that's a different kind of heat. But now, I mean, we're coming off winter. I would put 4 or 5 logs in. It would get up to like 150 or 160. If I threw a couple more in, it could get up to like 180. That's a different heat there. It's, you know, it's super hot, you know, you're sweating and like you're burning. But to have an infrared that gets up that high, like that's, yeah, I've never, it's been a while since I've done infrared. So I'm curious when I start using the Heavenly Heat and everything, how that'll go. But I'm a big fan of traditional, but I like the combination of having traditional with infrared. Because infrared's nice, especially if you can get it up that high. Because like some people don't need the stress of like the cold plunges like we were talking about. Like if you have maybe like a thyroid issue, it could be like too much stress for you. But like a gentle heat of like 140, 145 with the infrared, that could be great for somebody with maybe some autoimmune issues or
mhm,
what have
mhm.
you.
Yeah. Did you end up getting the combination sauna from them? I know they sell one.
Yeah, we have a nice little outdoor wellness space with the desert plunge, so we're gonna do the outdoor combination and do that. I
Yeah.
think so. I'm pretty sure about it.
That'll be gnarly. I'll be interested to hear how that goes. Cause like 142 in the sauna, like you're saying, like the air ambient temperature isn't bad, but like you get in there and like 8 minutes in, like your phone's like stops working. You have to like throw it
Yeah,
out. Like it's hot, man. And like you just start dumping sweat. And so it can, the nice thing about infrared is like you can get in at lower temperatures, but man, does it cooks you. It's a good time. I use it almost every single day. I always recommend this sauna to
I
everybody.
love.
If you're one of those people that watches podcasts and doesn't just listen, you've probably noticed this sauna right behind me in each and every one of my episodes. That is my Heavenly Heat Eco Sauna, and it is seriously the best. It's not just there for decoration. I use it each and every day. Heavenly Heat makes some of the cleanest saunas on the market. They are ultra low EMF, no glues, no dyes, no plywood. It's all 100% hemlock, and they are extremely easy and high quality to assemble. And my favorite thing, they don't require any electrical or wiring. All you have to do is plug it into an outlet and it starts working immediately. Heavenly Heat is a sponsor of the show, and if you're interested in getting a high quality sauna, head to heavenlyheatsaunas.com/Merrill. That's heavenlyheatsaunas.com/MERRILL and use the code Merrill at checkout to save some money. Thank you so much.
Are you a fan of cold plunges as well?
So I had Dr. Thomas Seeger on who created Morosco forges,
Right,
which are
right.
awesome. And then I actually had Michael on. He's a Canadian company, Culture, and they make cold plunges and saunas as well. I don't have access to a cold plunge yet. That's something I'm trying to work on. Maybe get a sponsor, get somebody on, because I definitely want it. It's crazy. I was talking to Thomas. I was like, it's crazy how I can get in a sauna that's 200 degrees, like, 100 plus degrees off my core body temperature.
Yeah,
But getting in like a cold plunge that's at like 45 degrees and less off my core body temperature is just so much harder. It's so hard.
yeah. I was asking 'cause my wife's sisters come all the time and they like to use our sweat tent and then the desert plunge and do the contrast. And I asked them, I was like, what do you think is harder? Like the last few minutes of the heat in the sauna or the first like 30 seconds to a minute in a cold plunge? Because what's funny is like a cold plunge, it's hard at the beginning, but the more you're in a cold plunge, it gets easier. But the sauna, it feels good when you're first in, but it gets harder as you stay in. And they both said the heat, like the ending of a sauna, like trying to stay in and trying to breathe, like if you're in for 15 or 20 minutes and like the last 5 minutes of a sauna is so hard, whereas like the first couple minutes of the first 30 seconds to a minute of a cold plunge really sucks. But like if you can just get past that breaking point, you'll feel your body just kind of relax into it. I'm torn. I don't know. I don't know if it's like the heat is harder or the cold
Yeah.
is harder, but they both suck.
Yeah, once I get to like minute 16, I'm just like kind of rocking back and forth in this sauna, like looking at my watch. I'm like, let me get these last 4 minutes, because you're right, it does get really tough. Do you wear like a sauna cap or hat or anything?
Mhm. I do. I have a like one of those wool caps that I wear.
Yeah, I do
It
too.
helps.
Yeah, it does. It does. Like keeping your head a little bit cooler and getting that heat off of the head allows you to stay in there a little bit longer. But man, it does not make it easy. My wife and I were actually just up in the mountains in Colorado. They have like this natural hot spring, kind of resort area where they have like a bunch of like mineral pools, and then they have like a
Yeah.
bunch of different saunas. So they had like a red light sauna, they had a traditional sauna, they had like a aromatherapy sauna, and then they have like a bunch of cold plunges. So we were in there for like 6 hours. We spent like 6 hours up there just kind of going back and forth between all the different things. And what we both said is like after we left, we were like drained. Like it's crazy how
Yeah.
much like just heat exposure, if you do it for like longer than just the 20 minutes a day, will just zap you. Like we just both went back to the hotel and we're just out, because it takes something out of you.
Yeah, and, going back to the cold, like I said, we dumped the ice in the ice barrels at our ancestral HQ. If I were to do that for 5 minutes, we would shiver so much during the meeting, and then I'd get home at, like, noon, and I would be drained. Like, I felt like I ran a marathon, and I was just so exhausted. I couldn't do that, like so now I found a sweet spot for my cold plunges. It's, like, 45 degrees is my ideal temp. It shocks me enough, but, like, I stay in there for 3 minutes, and that's for me, it's rejuvenating. Like, I feel really good. And if I do a good contrast session, we usually do it right before dinner, and then I sleep usually really good. It just is a nice way to wind down, have a good dinner, and that's just like a vibe. It's a really good experience.
When my wife and I were at this little resort here, they had cold plunges that were set to 45 degrees. So we got into the cold plunge, and after we got out, like once we left, I was talking to her. I was like, I was looking at cold plunges, and I was like, I totally was disregarding any cold plunge that didn't get like lower than like 33 degrees. But the
Yeah.
45 was plenty cold, plenty cold.
Yeah, that's my sweet spot, and I think the desert plunge can get down to 39. I've even seen some people configure it and rig it to, like, get down to, like, 32. I'm fine with in the 40s, like, that's perfectly fine for me. I don't care to go any lower than that. I've done it before, and, I just think there's, like, a breaking point there. Like you reach a certain point, and I've heard maybe Huberman talk about this, like anything below like 52, or I don't quote me on the number, but he said anything below a certain point, there's just like no net benefit to it. Maybe not. I don't know, but I just know my sweet spot for me is like 43 to 45.
Yeah, I don't think it needs to be colder. And after going to experience
Yeah.
that, I can go revise
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
cold plunge search again. I did. Speaking of Huberman, I know he talked about like maximum testosterone and HGH when it comes to like a sauna. He talked about like the sauna protocol, where it's like you don't do the sauna at all for like 10 days, and then you do um 4 30-minute sessions with 5 minutes of rest in between at like 200 degrees. And I tried that one time. I did the first 30 minutes, got out, got in for the next 30 minutes, and it was like back and forth rocking. And then the last 2 sessions, I like had to go take like a cold shower in between
Yeah.
because it was just brutal. It was terrible.
Yeah, I can't. And again, like I think a wood burner like we have in the sweat tent right now is a different kind of heat, but that'll get up. The temperature gauge says 160, 165, and I can barely last 20 minutes in there, let alone 4 30-minute sessions. Because we do rounds of 3. We'll do like say 20 minutes, then we'll do a 3-minute cold plunge. Go back and try and last another 20 minutes. It's hard. Like I can't do it. Maybe my tolerance just isn't built up to where it needs to be, but and then the type of sauna matters, I think. But either way, I feel like there's probably just so many benefits to it. I think most people can benefit from some sort of contrast, just even if it's a tiny bit, like just going outside on a hot day. Like when we lived in Texas, I would just go outside and start sweating within 10 to 15 minutes and then take a cold shower. And I felt fine. Like that was a good way to live life a little bit.
Are you doing these contrast sessions daily?
No, I like, so I've had the desert plunge for going on, it's like 14 months now, over a year, and I've used it maybe like 3 to 5 times a week is like a sweet spot for me. And the sauna, like 2 to 3 times a week is kind of where I'm at. Now, when we get our heavenly heat, I might be doing that daily. But I will say that when my wife, we were trying to conceive last year, I did want to lay off the sauna a little bit just because, you know, the sperm production and the heat and everything. So then when we try again for our second and whenever that is, I definitely will lay off the sauna a little bit leading up to that, just, you know, to protect the
Yeah.
guys a little bit.
Did you see the video that Brian Johnson, not the Liver King, the other Brian Johnson, the Don't guy put out
Yeah.
about the sauna? He was doing the sauna, but with like the ice pack on the boys on the nuts,
Right.
and he saw the increase in testosterone from that.
So it worked.
That's what he's saying. Yeah, he said he didn't know if it was like the sauna with the ice pack or if you could get like some effects just from the cold plunge, like just the ice pack.
I don't know. That would be, I've never tested it myself. I think I saw a clip of that. I'm curious to know if it like works that well. Like if I were to keep saunaing, but keep an ice pack, you know, in like a freezer down there, if that would work. But then, yeah, going from the contrast, like if you're heating your boys up, but then going into the contrast, going back and forth, if that's fine. I don't know if anybody's done like a randomized controlled trial on that to like say for sure, but I just know for me, like I'm probably just gonna be safe, like lay off the sauna for like a month or 2 while we try, and then go
Yeah.
from there.
Yeah, because I mean, my wife and I were talking about that. We don't have kids yet. She's in medical school, but it's on the
Yeah,
radar. We're talking about it, and she's like, we were talking about the other day. She's like, once we start trying, like you can't sauna. I was like, I know. I got to stay out of it because it just like, uh, it really just reduces the overall quality of the sperm.
yeah, and that's something like I was focusing so much on like taking like sperm health supplements, whether that was like CoQ10 or beef liver or just like a few other supplements that help the quality. My wife was taking them too for the health of her eggs. I actually had the pleasure of interviewing Lily Nichols, who's a registered dietitian. She's written great books, Real Food for Pregnancy, and you didn't have her on.
I have not. Mm-mm.
Yeah, she's awesome to talk to. She's great. But she was saying like not only eggs but like sperm health, like 6 months leading up to conception, like that's like the most critical point in time for this health of the sperm and health of the egg. And it was just super fascinating to hear that. And because people hear like the eggs you're born with for the ladies, like the eggs you're born with are what you got, but like you can actually influence the health of those by what you eat and the lifestyle you live. The same is true for guys. So like uh, I think for us, it was like a year leading up to conception. Like we were really trying to prioritize like minimal, if no alcohol consumption, just taking all the right supplements and doing things like that and lifestyle factors and really dialing it in like the last 3 to 6 months, just making sure we were as optimal as we could make it, not only for like our chances in increasing fertility, but also the health of her pregnancy, her safety, and then for our baby boy. And, God bless, like everything was safe and good for us. But yeah, I think nutrition and lifestyle definitely plays a big role when it comes to fertility and the health of
Hmm.
eggs and sperm.
Hmm. What were some? So my wife, she's doing her MD PhD. So the plan is obviously subject to change. She does the way it works in Colorado at CU is they do the first 3 years of medical school, and then they do their PhD, which would be 3 or 4 years depending on how fast they get out. Then they go back for their last year of medical school, and then they start the residency. So it's the whole
Wow.
process. She's going to be
Yeah.
forever. It's going to be a long time before
Oh,
she starts doing.
God bless her.
Yeah, but she's killing it. She's loving it. So our plan is, first 3 years of medical school, and then we want to try and have some kids during the PhD when it's a little less
Yeah.
crazy. For what were some of the big things that you guys focus on, like supplement wise, maybe food wise? Obviously, we talked about not doing the heat exposure. CoQ10, you mentioned.
Yeah, the big thing, I'll say for my wife, I don't want to speak for her, but like what we focused on for her was, I think, just really trying to help her stress levels
Mm.
because she worked full-time job. She was, she's a dietitian and she would work with patients. So really just trying to help her stress levels as a husband, not trying to add more stress levels to her because I've always said that, you want to give your body signs of abundance, especially for the lady. Like you have a much better chance of being fertile if you just give your body signs of abundance. So not restricting calories, like eating a lot, like good calories, but like also a lot of good nutrients. Like you could be eating a ton of ultra processed junk void of nutrients, and you're probably not going to have the healthiest egg quality, the healthiest sperm quality. So like focusing on nutrient dense foods. So we were always prioritizing red meat, raw dairy, healthy fats like butter and all extra virgin olive oil, beef tallow, things like that. um, that's just kind of from a dietary standpoint. We were eating the same diet, just, maybe different portions. And then her stress levels, of course, and my stress levels, just really trying to make sure that we were good there. Supplements, I know I mentioned CoQ10 for me and for her. She was taking that without looking at our notes or like, I can't remember exactly. She was taking a couple good prenatals, just kind of switching out which one she liked, which one she didn't like, but just making sure like the prenatals that she was taking were really good and pure and had the right forms of nutrients in there, like a lot of choline because I think it's like you don't even need choline in a prenatal supplement, which is like one of the most important nutrients for brain health
Yeah.
for mom and baby. So making sure she had a good prenatal with choline, beef liver, of course, taking that, and then a good fish egg supplement or just eating some good fish. Fish oils, I'm kind of iffy on because they can be rancid. So if you are going to do a fish oil, make sure it's like a good quality fish oil. I'm more of a fan of like a desiccated fish egg
Mm.
supplement. So it's protecting the fatty acids in there. It's not becoming oxidized.
Hmm.
That's pretty much mostly what we were doing, making sure that she wasn't overtraining or, not moving enough, but just little things like that.
Hmm. Yeah. Um, with the fish oil, it's one of the few things that I say, like, really you pay for what you get. Like, you need to find one that's quality. You need to find one that has the IFOS certification. So
Yeah.
it is really high quality. I've never even heard of trying like a desiccated fish egg for the omegas. That's really interesting. Is there a brand you like?
Ancestral Supplements has one.
Oh, do they?
It's bright red, so there's a lot of astaxanthin in there, and I
Mm-hmm.
think it's from Hoki, Hoki fish. It's I want to say that's New Zealand sourced. It's like pretty pristine out there. But yeah, like it might be salmon roe as well, Hoki and salmon roe. But they had one that I like taking. My wife took all the time. But yeah, if you are going to do fish oil in particular, I'm a fan of krill oil because there's a lot of astaxanthin in there, which is a potent antioxidant. It's going to be bright red, so I think that's a little bit better. Maybe you might not get as many omega threes in there, but yeah, I mean, you definitely want to make sure you're getting omegas from your diet.
Mm-hmm.
Eating good fish, but then also if you want to supplement, just make sure it's a good supplement.
Is there anything that the mainstream, non-toxic, whatever you want to classify people, is there anything that category of people are like super hot on, super into that maybe you're not as into right now?
I'm late to the game on peptides, and that's just maybe top of mind for me right now as I'm about to start experimenting with one in particular. And that's something that's pretty hot right now. That I'm gonna look more into and experiment with. Um, smart drugs, I haven't played around a ton with those. I'm really late to the game there. So I haven't done anything there. I like to dabble in like biohacking, if you will, a little bit, if play around with some things and just kind of experiment and see what works for me. But really, I'm just trying to like keep it as simple as possible and not add too many things, but I just like to experiment. So,
What are you hoping to
but I
get
would
at?
say,
What are you hoping to get out of the peptides?
uh, I want to see how it works in terms of muscle building because I want to put on a little bit more muscle mass. And it's supposedly within the first week or two of taking this particular one. It's called Somorelin, and that's a pretty popular peptide that actually produces more human growth hormone from your pituitary gland naturally. It's not like a synthetic way of pumping more HGH or testosterone in there. So it's supposed to be. I've heard several. I've heard Huberman talk about it. I've heard other experts talk about it, and it's a relatively safe and effective one to start out with and try. But the first like week or two, you're supposed to notice like more energy, better, deeper sleep if you track anything. Your sleep. I think Huberman has said he took it for like a year or two consistently, but then after a while, he noticed that he had less REM sleep and more deep sleep and less REM sleep, but you need a good ratio of both of those. And so he stopped taking it for a little while. I don't know if he's back on it, but I do want to notice maybe my energy levels are fine, but how much can you really have with an 8-month-old right now? And I want to make sure my energy is good, but I also want to optimize my sleep as much as I can. But then mostly is muscle mass and seeing if it makes a noticeable difference on the scale that I have if I'm actually increasing my lean muscle mass. So I don't know. I'll take it for 30 to 60 days and see what changes.
That's the best. I love people who are willing to do that. Just like try it out, see how it works. No bias or like need to be right. It's like you're just trying to figure stuff out. Just try to see what works for you.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk to my community, my Instagram community, and let them know, like, hey, I'm trying this out. I'll tell them the one that I'm taking and seeing if it works for me, and I'll let them know, like, hey, this actually didn't work for me, or it did. But I'm curious the feedback I get from it from my community, and see if anybody else has tried it, and to see if it works. But I don't know. I just like playing around and experimenting with certain things and see if it works.
That's why it's so funny to see like on social media how much flack or hate that Brian Johnson gets. Don't die guy. I
Yeah,
love it. I'm like, dude's got the
yeah.
money. Like he's just going all in.
Why
Like,
not?
yeah, I was like, I'll sit here, take notes, tell me what works, tell me what doesn't, and I'll try to apply it where I can. So I love to see that kind of stuff.
Yeah, me too. And it's all for the right reasons. It's like if for talking about him, like if he wants to do it and I think he presents it in a pretty good way. I don't agree 100% with everything. Maybe the plant-based diet and the no sun thing is kind of something I'm a little bit more on the opposite side of things. But I think that's the way with any person or anybody in the health space in particular. You're not going to find somebody that you agree 100% on everything with, but you can probably agree on 80 to 90% of things. And that's where I like to focus my attention, with especially with my friends on social media or just other, it's like we're probably agreeing on 90%, but I think a lot of the time social media, we focus so much on the 10% of things that we disagree on. And it's like, why, we agree on everything but these two things. Why do we got to debate it? But,
Yeah.
you know,
It'll be interesting to see, like, on the flip side, we have Dr. Sean Baker, who's like strict carnivore, only
right.
eating his steaks, and it like gets out in the sun and like does some hardcore weight training. The dude's like what in his 60s, and did I see him deadlift like 600 pounds? Like what a monster!
Crazy.
What a
That's
monster!
crazy.
So it'll be really interesting to see. Like we got these two people, Brian Johnson's over here doing his animal or his vegan diet and his no sun. So it'll be really fun to see. Well, Craig, I like to wrap up a podcast with two questions. First being, who do you think I should speak to next and why? And then the second is, what's a book you would most recommend for me?
Wow. Can they be from the same person?
Sure. Yeah, please.
All right. The first person that comes to mind, Dr. Bill Schindler. Have you had him on?
I
Or do
have
you know
not.
him?
I don't know him. Who's Bill?
So he wrote the book Eat Like a Human. I don't have it. Oh, I do have it back here. He wrote Eat Like a Human, and it's one of the 2 or 3 books that has really changed my perspective on nutrition. I read this in 2020 or 21, and he's awesome. My wife actually surprised me to a trip to his restaurant. He lives in Maryland in Chestertown, and he has a restaurant called the Modern Stone Age Kitchen. He runs with his wife and a team of employees, and man, it is the healthiest restaurant you'll ever find. All the sourdough is like completely just they know how to ferment it perfectly. They test every batch. Everything uses beef tallow, no seed oils. They just got the what's the stamp of approval from Seed Oil Scout? They just got that.
Mm,
Everything is local and fresh. They butcher all their own animals. All their condiments are self-made. Their ketchup is like fermented. It's amazing. Okay. So he's visited all these primitive culture tribes and he wrote a book on, the importance of how to eat like a human. Cause according to him, most people ask the question, what should we be eating, for optimal health? He says, how should we be eating? And it's
mm.
like, how should we be preparing our food, fermenting it or eating it raw or eating it cooked? It's one of the top 5 books that I recommend most people read. It changed my perspective on nutrition altogether. That and Deep Nutrition by Dr. Kate Shanahan is a really good book. So he's one person I would reach out to. We're good friends. We met in person there last December, and that was really cool to experience firsthand. And he literally lives the life that he preaches, and it's so awesome. So I would definitely reach out to him and tell him I sent you because he's
Yeah.
a great guy.
That's awesome. I'll definitely read his book and reach out to him. It's funny. Brian Sanders, he recommended Eat Like the Animals. So
I haven't heard that one
yeah, I hadn't either, but I think he said, is it Ted Newman or something? He said it's really good. So now I got two books that I gotta do. Like I said, I record more podcasts faster than I can read books. So the list
for
grows
sure.
and grows and grows. But
For sure.
I got a lot of great stuff. Well, where can people find you? Where can they follow you on Instagram and YouTube and everything?
Yep. Those are my 2 main places. Instagram, Craig_McCloskey, and YouTube is up and coming for me. Same thing, Craig_McCloskey there. TikTok, Facebook, all the things. My website is CraigMcCloskey.com. We have some recipes, real food recipes that don't use seed oils or added sugars, and we use mostly raw dairy and things like that. But that's typically where I'm hanging out most days.
When you said you do all of your editing and all of your stuff in
Mhm.
house, it does not come across that way on your YouTube. It's very well done. You guys, you do a great job. I watched this and I was like, man, dude, I got to step my game up. He's crushing it.
Appreciate it. It's just too time consuming. I want to get to the point where I can pay a video editor to do it all and free up some more of my time. So you either pay with your time or your money, but it's it's a lot. But I appreciate you saying that.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate your time, dude. This was a fun conversation.
Thanks, Chase.